Hi there, Chris Chapman at Motor Legends. Today I'm going to be talking about 10 of our favourite summer motorcycle riding trousers. And don't forget, if you like what you see, if you like what you hear, please like and subscribe. Recently we did a review of what we consider to be 10 of the very best summer motorcycle jackets on the market. Our definition of a summer riding jacket being anything without a waterproof membrane. This being a necessity obviously to prevent overheating in water climbs or when you're working hard off-road. And so we thought it only appropriate to follow up that review with a similar one about trousers. Trousers that are similarly appropriate for riding in hot weather. Now, motorcycle trousers without a membrane are going to be so much nicer, so much easier, so much more comfortable to wear than waterproof trousers. They will flow loads of air and they're going to help you stay cool. There is, of course, one problem with this form of attire. Basically, if it rains, you are kind of screwed. You are going to get wet. The solution, obviously, is to wear or to carry with you something like a pair of or a set of Scott waterproof over trousers. But for some people, this is an unimaginable inconvenience, a bridge too far. But what you have to bear in mind is in the summer, it does not rain all the time. It is an unfortunate inconvenience, not a regular occurrence. There is one other definition for us of a summer riding trouser, and that is that it has to be single layer. If you're going to go out on a warm day or if you're getting hot and sweaty off-road, you can't be doing with a padded trouser something lined with Kevlar. Anyway, summer riding trousers come in all shapes and sizes, and so what we're going to do now is take a look at some of our favourites. We've never been totally in love with the Marrakesh pant in the way that we always have been with the Marrakesh jacket, but despite our reservations, a lot of people seem to like them. Now, the construction of the pant is identical to the jacket, so it starts with a 1000 denier cordura outer fabric that's infused with elastane for a super stretchy, comfortable fit. In terms of armour, you get D3O Ghost in the knees and the hips. Undoubtedly, these pants are going to flow a lot of air. In fact, they probably flow more air than any pant we offer. So they're perfect for when it's really, really warm or when you're working up a sweat off-road. By contrast, they can be uncomfortably cold when it's chilly, and that's because they flow against so much air. And this can be an issue. When it's cold, you can layer up underneath the Marrakesh jacket to reduce the effects of wind chill and to insulate body heat. But that's not so easy with the pant. There's no such thing as a windproof inner layer for the pant in the way that there is for the jacket. There's the CLIM Zephyr, works really well in the jacket. There's no equivalent for the trouser. And nobody really does a down trouser in the same way that they do a down jacket. Actually, Rucker do one, but it's quite cumbersome. Now, subjectively, we also think that wearing the Marrakesh top and bottom together can look a little bit strange. There's so little detailing in the jacket and the pants that certainly if the colours match, it can look as though you've gone out for a ride in your pyjamas. But of course, that might just be us. Lastly, we don't really understand the cut of the Marrakesh pant. On the previous model, the leg was so generous they wore like flares. They looked a little bit ridiculous. But on the current trouser, the leg is so narrow, you can't wear them over an adventure boot. They'll go over a short adventure style boot like these, the CLIM Outlanders, and there are lots of boots on the market like those, and you can get them over some touring boots. But this is the perfect pant for the serious adventure rider, the guy who rides off-road. So not being able to get them over a proper adventure boot seems to us like a bit of a mistake. Classically, we have always preferred to match the Marrakesh jacket to a significantly more abrasion-resistant jean. But not everybody, it would seem, likes to ride in jeans. Personally, we don't understand why. A lot of people really love the Fuel Sergeant pant. In fact, it's become a kind of calling card for the urban dwelling scrambler owner who wants to adopt a more adventurous aesthetic than his ride-outs to Loomis or Rikers might suggest. The pant fits quite tightly on the leg. It's a flattering look, but the narrowness of the leg means that strangely for a so-called adventure pant, they will not go over any kind of adventure boot. The problem is that the fabric, which is quite thick, the thickness of the fabric means that they won't go inside a boot either. They're just too cumbersome to wear inside a boot. In truth, the fuel sergeants will only really work with a short adventure boot. So the kind of boots that you might get from someone like Former, Falco, Icon or CLIM, I'm sure lots of other people do them as well. Now, as we have suggested, the material on the sergeant pants is quite thick, and it's undoubtedly the weight of the fabric that helps deliver a AAA rating under EN 17092. But it's the weight of the fabric and the fact that the sergeants have absolutely no vents that mean that this pant is certainly not suited to the hottest conditions or to serious off-road riding. I said much the same thing in a review I wrote a couple of years ago. In response, a chap sent me a picture of him riding through the Sahara in Morocco. But I've never heard from him again, so I don't know whether he made it. I do hope that it wasn't the heat exhaustion that got him. The pants come with level 2 armour in the knees and the hips. On the knees, the armour can be fitted and removed from the outside, and that's always a nice convenient factor. The only other point that we'd make about the sergeant pants is that they come in just one leg length, and these days that simply does not cut the mustard. But some of my concerns notwithstanding, even we have to admit that the fuel pants look the part, and the price is not unreasonable either. Roka Chino is a phenomenal pant, although it's not for everybody, and undoubtedly it flows less air than some summer pants. They're made from a Shirley Industries fabric known as Dynatech, and as a result of this, the chinos are incredibly strong. This is not, by the way, the same fabric that Roka uses for its jeans, but this material still delivers a leather-beating slide time of over 6 seconds when measured on a Cambridge machine. The Cambridge machine was the abrasion test that they had under the old EN 13595 test. Under the current test, EN 17092, these jeans rate as AA. But we suspect that they would pass at the very top end of AA. Now, as we've discussed in the past, the AA rating is a huge spectrum from a slide time of around 2 seconds to over 6 seconds. In fact, we suspect that if these jeans were tested or these chinos were tested again today, they would pass at the AAA level. And I think we can say that with some confidence because Roka's black jacket uses exactly the same fabric, and that does indeed pass at AAA. Pants come with D30 Ghost armour in the knees and the hips. The trousers are very smart. The outer fabric resembles a cavalry twill, which gives the pants somewhat of a formal, even a military bearing. You could wear them in the smartest of offices and still not look underdressed. This having been said, it would be better off if such an office had air conditioning because these pants are no lightweights. With no membrane, they will perhaps flow a decent amount of air on the move, but this is not the easiest to wear motorcycle pant in the armoury. What does make these chinos stand out a bit is that they come with what is called a nanosphere treatment to the surface of the fabric. Now, this treatment creates a kind of textured, bristly effect on the surface of the material. And what happens is these little hairs, when it rains, these hairs break up the raindrops, and that slows down the absorption of the moisture into the jean. Frankly, I've got to say all this sounds like gobbledygook to us, but what we have often been told by customers is they manage to get an hour or so in the rain before they start to feel wet. And given that this is a trouser that has no membrane, that is not unimpressive. The pant also has a cold black treatment. Now, this is a treatment that reflects 90% of the sun's ultraviolet rays. And what that means is, even though normally in really hot conditions, in really sunny conditions, you wouldn't choose to wear a black trouser, this black trouser does not behave like a black trouser. It will be much cooler. Overall, I have to say that this is a pretty serious pant that we suspect is going to appeal to pretty serious individuals. The CLIM Dakar pant, in other words this pant, is not really designed for riding on the road. It's very much of an off-road trouser, although of course there's nothing stopping you from riding wherever you want in them. After all, you can ride on the road in a pair of shorts if you really want. Dakar pants come with pockets, armour pockets for D30, although it is not included as standard. Now normally, if a motorcycle trouser is equipped with pockets for armour, it has to be tested under EN 17092 for abrasion resistance. But it would appear that CLIM has found a bit of a loophole. If a pant is designed specifically for off-road use, you can get away with not testing them. Now, frankly anyway, a pant like this works much better with separately worn body armour. The legs are so wide that what you tend to find is that if you have fitted armour, it will never be in the right place when you come off the bike. The leg will have twisted and it won't be covering the knee, for example. With a pant like this, we would normally recommend wearing a knee protector, a protector that actually attaches to the knee. Now the good news is because of the width of the legs of the Dakar pant, they're going to go over pretty much any off-road boot. The pant is very light, as you might expect of a trouser that is for or designed for getting hot and sweaty in the rough stuff. You get leather patches here inside the legs, you get stretch panels, you get these large vents here up the side of the legs, you've got large cargo pockets. At the bottom of the legs you've got larger openings with a long zip so you can get the trouser over an off-road boot, as we've already suggested. In other words, with the Dakar pant you get everything you'd expect of a proper off-road oriented adventure pant. Now CLIM does a similar pant to the Dakar, it's called the Jackson, but the difference between the Jackson and the Dakar is that whereas this is very much designed to go over an off-road boot, the Jackson is designed to tuck inside the boot. But basically it's the same deal. That trouser, like this one, is not CE approved. If everybody made trousers to the same spec, we'd live in a dull old world. Well, the Triton pants from Pando are not like any other trousers that we offer. Undoubtedly the pant is a bit of a looker. Many people are going to be attracted to them on the basis of their aesthetics. Pant fits quite tight. There's lots of stretch in the fabric, so they're also very comfortable. There's some room in the thighs where you get these cargo pockets here, but the legs taper quite dramatically down to the ankles. These pants are not going to go over the shaft of anything more than a short ankle boot. It's a pant that's going to be more suited to slimmer and more athletic frames, and let's face it, probably to younger ones too. Now, as is consistent with the terms of this review, the Triton pant has no membrane, but it does have a PU waterproof coating. Now, this is far stronger than the durable water repellent that you get on pretty much every waterproof pant, but make no mistake, it's not going to deliver the waterproofing of a proper membrane. In fact, Pando quote a score of 10,000. That's not up there with Gore-Tex perhaps, but it's certainly a lot more than water resistant. Pando jean comes with vents here on the thighs for better airflow, although the fabric itself, of course, because it's single layer, is also going to flow adequate amounts of air. The armour that comes in the knees and the hips is level 1 Ghost. The pant is rated single A under EN 17092, which is what you might expect, leading us to the view that even though the Triton has a bit of an adventurous look to it, they're probably more suited to the urban explorer than the international rover. As we have suggested, it's difficult to categorise the Tritons. They're not outstanding in any particular in any one respect, but they look nice, they're comfortable, they offer acceptable levels of protection, they will flow reasonable amounts of air, and they are more than just a little bit waterproof. They are perhaps jacks of all trade and master of none, but occasionally that's exactly what we're looking for. What is impressive is that the Tritons come in no less than 4 leg lengths. The price, however, means that the Tritons are going to be, for most people, more than just an impulse purchase. I've got to be honest, the Roa Legend, this jean is our favourite riding trouser bar none. Okay, we accept that if you get on the bike at 6 AM on a December morning to commute 60 minutes into work, a jean like this may not be what you need. But for commuting in the nicer months, for touring anywhere warm, or for the casual rider who goes out at weekends, a pair of Roa jeans is pretty much unbeatable. As a single layer product, as a single layer jean, they flow loads of air, although probably of course not as much as something like the CLIM Marrakesh pant. They wear like a pair of regular Levi's, they're as comfortable as a pair of Levi's, if not more so, and of course they look like a pair of Levi's. Now technically they are only rated AA under EN 17092, but they're made with amazingly strong UHM WPE fibres, so the jeans sit at the very top end of that standard. And so actually they deliver a slide time under EN 13595, which is the old standard, of over 6 seconds, making them technically about 50% stronger than leather. The Legend, this model, is the model that Roa make exclusively for Motor Legends. When we commissioned it, we asked them to put a little bit of extra stretch into the fabric so that the jean would be a little bit more comfortable on the bike. We had them also put a little bit of extra room in the calf, because what we found was with the old jean, the tapered slim jean, when you sat on the bike and your calf muscles tensed, they could be just a little bit restrictive. We specified a zip fly as opposed to a button fly, because let's face it, nobody wants a button fly on a motorcycle jean. And we asked for D30 Ghost armour in the knees and the hips. We also stipulated 4 leg lengths, because really it's only when you've got 4 leg lengths that you can be pretty sure that the armour is always going to be in the correct place. Mini jeans, of course, even these days, only come in a single length. Now, I've ridden in Rokas across the Sahara, and for pretty much all of my riding they flow more than enough air. But for me, one of the appeals of riding in a single layer Roka jean is that after a long day in the saddle you can rock up at the bar without looking like a courier. The PMJ Aviators are similar in many respects to Roka's cargo pants, although the boss man at PMJ was very unimpressed when I suggested that they might even be a copy of them. The Aviators look like the kind of cargo pant that you might be able to pick up on the high street. It's a slim-fitting single-layer pant, got these small cargo pockets here on the thighs. They're made from a combination of two fibres. One is called ultra-core cordura, the other of course is cotton. Now that's not a particularly exotic combination of ingredients, but it's enough to deliver an AA rating under EN 17092. However, what PMJ does, they test all of their fabrics under the Cambridge machine. That's from the old EN 13595 test, and what they have told us is that this actually scores a slide time of just under 4 seconds. In fact, I think it's 3.9 seconds. Now that is not unimpressive, but it still falls a little bit short of the Roka pants 6 seconds. The armour in the PMJ pants is okay, but it's smaller than the armour that you get in the Roka pants. The system for holding the armour in place is also not as nice as the system in the Rokas. But for us, the main issue with the PMJs is that they come in just one leg length. Now that's fine if you're average height, but it's not going to work for you if you're tall or if you're short. And as Gordon Gekko once famously said, if you want to be able to piss in the tall plants, you've got to be a big dog. But if you want to be a big dog, one leg length, I'm afraid it just doesn't cut it. But here's the clincher. The PMJs wear, look and feel just like the Roka Chinos, but they are £100 cheaper. And so some people will take the view that spending the extra dosh for a pair of Rokas just doesn't add up. The CLIM Switchback is a classic adventure-style cargo pant, and it presses all the right buttons. Now, being made of quite a basic combination of cotton and cordura, the Switchback is not going to be the most protective motorcycle trouser that you can buy, although it still rates AA under EN 17092, and that seems reasonably impressive. The issue is that the AA range covers a huge spectrum, and cotton and cordura as a construction will sit at the lower end of that spectrum. But I don't think that's really a problem with a pant like the Switchback because it's designed more for the rough stuff than the open road. The leg is wide enough to go over almost any what I suppose we'd call crossover adventure boot. It probably won't go over one of those big plastic Alpenstars jobbies. You get large cargo pockets here on the thighs. You've got large zippable vents here on the sides as well. You've got D30 Ghost armour in the knees and the hips. The former being adjustable and removable from the outside. You can adjust them by going in under there. The Switchback in some ways is, I suppose, the perfect adventure pant. It comes in 3 leg lengths, which for us is always a positive. Now, some are not massively keen on the grey and black colourway of this pant because it looks like the kind of pant that you might buy somewhere like, I don't know, Screwfix. Unfortunately, the brown colour that we ordered for 24 was cancelled by CLIM. They didn't tell us, but I think that was a great shame. But if you don't mind looking like the guy from Screwfix, there's nothing wrong with grey and black. The Pando Tough Chino is exclusive to Moto Legends and came out of discussions that we had with Pando about the fact that some people who ride into work in their protective trousers didn't wear knee armour. And that's because they didn't want to go through the hassle when they got into the office of having to visit the loo, take the armour out, only to revisit the loo at the end of the day to put the armour back in. And what we had noticed that lots of the folks who were doing that had decided, because they didn't want any of that hassle, just to wear a normal pair of chinos that they'd picked up somewhere on the high street, somewhere like Marks and Sparks, I suppose. And frankly, we thought this was all a little bit crazy. So we spoke to Pando about producing an abrasion-resistant chino without armour, indeed without even armour pockets. And we thought the latter was important because it's only by removing the armour pockets that you could create a trouser that was truly all-day wearable. Now, Pando came up with a great fabric for this chino, and even though it's only B rated under EN 17092, and it can only be B rated because if you don't supply armour, you can only get a B rating. In other products, Pando knew that this fabric rated AA. And so what we've ended up is a very smart looking chino that you could wear at your desk all day, but that offers more than acceptable levels of abrasion resistance on your commute in and out of work. We did, however, stipulate that we wanted hip armour pockets to come with the jeans. And that's because if you wear hip armour, you can easily take the hip armour out when you're sat at your desk and you can put it back in again at the end of the day. And we actually think that in many circumstances, hip armour is more important than knee armour because most likely when you have an accident, you're going to low side, you're going to end up landing on your hips. Now, not everybody wants to ride in a pant without the knee armour. But for those who do, the tough Chino is perfect. Of course, if occasionally you do want to wear armour with them, then we would suggest to get a set of Endura D30 knee socks. Perfect. Truth be told, motorcycle trousers do not get much lighter and easier to wear than the Spidy Supercharge pants. They wear and feel more like something that you might buy at Lululemon than at a bike shop. It's a single layer pant, and whatever the fabric is, apparently it's a high tenacity polyamide, whatever that means. Whatever it is, it's infused with something like elastane for an incredible stretch fit. The trousers are so comfortable that I think they could be a little bit disconcerting. They just don't feel as though they're going to be massively protective, although they do pass the EN 17092 test at the AA standard, and that is not unimpressive. Remember though that the AA standard covers this huge spectrum from 2 seconds on a Cambridge machine under EN 13595 all the way through to 6+ seconds. I suppose we'd guess that the Supercharge pants would be at the lower end of that continuum, so somewhere at like 2 seconds I would imagine. But as I've suggested, AA is not unimpressive. AA is not nothing. But I think that as a result of our knowledge of these pants, we would suggest that they are more suited to the urban environment than to motorway riding. The armour in this Supercharged pant is Spidy's own level 1 armour. It is light, it is flexible, and it is reassuringly large. But for a bit of added protection, Spidy have put these panels of super fabric on the knees. But this must be super fabric light of some description because it's nothing like the regular stuff. Super fabric is amazing. It is the most abrasion resistant material or overlay that you can use on a motorcycle jacket or pant. But this isn't like the super fabric that we've seen, for example, on the elbows of a Stadler jacket or on the knees of a Stadler pant. Now, as we have suggested, this is not a pant that you would buy purely for its protective qualities. It's a very modern pant. It's probably better suited to younger folk, and given the super slim fit, probably to thinner folk too. It seems that these days I'm composing more and more reviews where I get to suggest that the fabrics don't feel as though they're going to be fully protective, but clearly there are some very thin, very strong fabrics coming through the system. The Supercharge is the epitome, in our view, of the motorcycle pant that doesn't feel or look like a motorcycle pant. Take the armour out of these and you could do yoga in your Supercharged pants. They really are that easy to wear. They come in one single length only, which of course always upsets us. And it upsets us because it causes us to feel that the manufacturers are just being lazy about it, that they don't care. But one thing that I do have to say about the Supercharged pants is they are going to, because of their construction, they're going to be very easy to shorten. If you'd like to see more motorcycle trousers, visit motorlegends.com. If you'd like to see more summer motorcycle trousers, in other words, trousers without membranes, then if you click on one of the links on the screen, sometimes they're up there, sometimes they're down there, that will take you directly to the correct category on the website. Now, when you're there, you can check out the spec on any of these pants in more detail. You can check on availability. And if you want to buy a pair of these trousers, obviously you can do that there and then. Now, when you do buy from us, we try to make the process simple, straightforward, and risk-free as we possibly can. There is no delivery charge on any item of protected wear that you buy from us. Returns are totally free. And what's more, we give you a full 12 months in which to decide whether you do want to return something to us. Now, we have the best price promise guarantee in the business. John Lewis was rightly famed for its never knowingly undersold price promise, but we go one stage better. If you can find anybody selling anything that we sell at a price that is below ours, we will beat that competitor's price by a full 10%. Now, there are a few terms and conditions associated with what we call our 10% price beat. Nothing particularly onerous, I assure you. But if you are going to attempt to price beat us, I suggest you go to the website and check out what those terms and conditions are. Now, in the future, if you'd like to receive bulletins from us about new product launches, then if you go to the website, there's a piece of script at the top of the page that says newsletter sign up. Click on that. Within seconds, you'll be in business. In future, you'll receive our email bulletins about new products. If ever you prefer to get your information videographically, that is to say in this form, we'd be simply delighted if you want to become a subscriber to our YouTube channel, and you can do that by clicking on the button below. Finally, I'd like to make mention of our fabulous little shop here at Motor Legends. We're based about a mile from the centre of Guildford, a mile from the railway station. And as I have suggested, it's a small shop. It's got a small footprint. But it's attached to our warehouse where we have more than £4 million worth of motorcycle gear arranged over 3 floors. And technically that makes this the second largest motorcycle shop in the UK. But we'd like to think of ourselves as far more than just the amount of merchandise we have here in the building. We're all about service. We're all about personal fitting. If you want to check us out, visit Trustpilot. We have the highest 5-star ranking in the business. And when you come to see us, we'll serve you only the finest Italian illy coffee, or we'll serve you proper Yorkshire tea in a proper teapot. And who knows, if you're lucky, you might even get to sample one of our delicious motorcycle-shaped shortbread biscuits.